Bananas are good for you. No, bananas don't cause cancer, right? But they're not cancer fighters. They don't have any pigment in them that would fight cancer, but they're perfectly appropriate, okay? So potatoes and corn, are they better than broccoli? So if you're used to eating fast foods and you're not eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, it's fine to start with potatoes and corn. However, corn is a problem. Corn is genetically modified or genetically engineered mostly in this country. So when you get it, it's been doctored to be able to be resistant to pesticides and to drought and to other weather conditions, right? That genetically modified plant is also sprayed with an Agent Orange formula that's combined with a special type of DDT pesticide, and the government was able to push that through because of pressure from farming subsidies and from lobbies, and without a committee of citizens and without the EPA regulating it. So that's recent. The consumer isn't aware of it, but if your corn is not organic, you are getting a very toxic product that will cause cancer, and they're now looking at studies, are scrambling to put studies together to see what they can do to prevent long-term health issues from corn. Potatoes are okay, you need to well wash them. Sweet potatoes are better for you and yams are better for you than regular potatoes. However, when we're talking about cancer fighters, we're talking about brightly colored things. So sweet potatoes is a cancer fighter, potatoes aren't. Speaking about fresh, canned, frozen fruits and vegetables, frozen are just fine for you. A lot of people think, oh, well, they're not as good for you if they're not fresh. That's not true. Frozen are usually flash frozen, and Trader Joe's is an excellent place to get your frozen vegetables and fruits because they're cheap, they're pre-washed, they're cut, and they're bagged up for you. Canned is a risk with prostate issues because there's BPA, like a plastic lining in that can that leaches into the can that changes the way your body uses hormones. It also has aluminum in them, and that can leach into the foods as well. There's one brand of canned food called Eden Brands that does test for those products and pulls them off the shelf if there's any leaching. And they use no BPA cans. It's Eden, like as in the Garden of Eden. So canned foods from Eden, anything frozen or anything fresh. Eating a little less has been shown in clinical trial to significantly lower your risk. And a little less could just be minimizing your portion. So using a smaller plate rather than the dinner size plate. Make sense? And then the last rule is eat real food. So what does that mean, eat real food? What's a real food? Anything that's in a box, bag, or a can, unless it's frozen fruits and vegetables, is highly processed, right? So mashed potatoes, so another way to think of it is, would my great-great-grandmother think of this as a food? So your great-grandmother wouldn't think that a box of mashed potatoes is a potato, right? So a potato is a potato. A box of mashed potatoes is not a potato. Does that make sense? Is skim milk a real food? It is not a real food because it doesn't come out of the cow 2%. So it has to be doctored to get it there. So what's happened in this country is there was this craze in the 80s around losing weight, the whole Jane Fonda aerobics, we're fat, let's low-fat foods. That's when it was all invented, right? And all started to come out. And we've gotten fatter and fatter. Why is that? Cancer rates have gone up, rates of autoimmune disease have gone up, and that's because of exposure to chemicals. So in order to get a food to taste good, but to not have fat in it, you have to doctor it. To do that, you have to put chemicals in there. And those chemicals your body reacts to by trying to process. The prostate filters a lot of those chemicals. So it's very important to just eat real food. Butter is not your enemy. Butter is good for you. It's a real food. It's an essential fatty acid. Yogurt is good for you. So when we talk about lowering your BMI, as Ed was saying, he lost 100 pounds, that doesn't mean that you should be eating low-fat foods. It means you just need to be eating a little less and a little more fruits and vegetables. That's right.